successful, very successful life. Are you ready?
Amen.
Well, this is not a key, but it is important for you to learn to mind your business. It's just important, just something that can help you in life, just to learn to mind your own. Right? How will we be successful during our days? What is it that we are supposed to do to be successful during our days? And what can we apply? I believe the Lord will help us today. Let's read the first verse. Just read the first verse. Chapter 2 of the second book of Kings. That is verse 1.
And it came to pass, when the Lord will take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal.
Okay, that's just verse 1. So I would read a lot of verses from that chapter, then I'll explain them one by one. But this verse that we have read is simply talking about a time that arrived in the life of a prophet wherein God decided to take him. And these were the prophetic days, so there were many prophets, and they were prophesying about it. That, you see this, Elijah will be taken by a whirlwind. You know whirlwind? You know that thing? You know it, right?
Amen.
Okay. I don't know what you call it in other languages. So what do you call it? Yeah, something like that. That one I believe it is. Like, say it again. Is that Zulu? Are you a Zulu? Let's get a Zulu. We can't listen to a Swati man who's saying this is Zulu. Are you a Zulu? Okay. In Swati? In Zulu? Okay, in Tonga, what do you call a woman? Come on, speak out loud. Who is a petty? Do I have a petty person here? What is that thing? Okay. That's, do I have a Sutu person? Where's the other? Yeah. What do you call? Huh? When we love Sutu because it is always different. Now, I remember one of my sons here, when I said he must come and preach, he preached about information. Do you remember that song? Information. I'm starting to think that what is necessary in order for us to be successful mainly is information. I think that is important, right? Information. Information. If you have to be a successful person, I'm starting to think that you need information. What do you think? Why are you here? You are here to study. When you study, what are you looking for? Information. So even companies that employs people, they check if you're informed. And they do that through academic records. They just look at your academic record. If they can see that, then they say you are informed. You can survive in an industry. The only difference between you and the one that is at home is you are being more informed. That is if really you are here for information.
Amen.
Information is necessary, I'm telling you. Information is what is necessary. Well, I think it is important for me to say the state of your mind determines what is in your pocket. You cannot have more in your pocket and less in your head. Tell that to your neighbor. Shake him and say, I don't know what you have, but it's all from your head. Information. Tell your neighbor, information. Shake your neighbor and say, information. So I will say a lot of things about information, the importance of information. I'll say a lot of them. But listen to me. I think any place that a person has to go to, you pass through other places. There's no such a place where you can just arrive to without passing through other places. And when I read my Bible, I see that the Bible tells me that Jesus was a carpenter. Have you made a verse like that? Jesus was a? Shake your neighbor and say, a carpenter, a carpenter, a carpenter. If you read the book of Mark chapter 6, you realize that there's a story going on there that the Bible says, now he decided to go to his hometown to do ministry. To me, it looks like he had thought, I'm winning souls like everywhere else, so let me go to my hometown and win souls. And he entered his hometown. The Bible says he began preaching. And the Bible says they admitted to the fact that his teachings and preachings were powerful. But then they said, what's this? Is this not the carpenter? And that on its own tells me that not only was the Lord anointed to save us, he was also anointed to do a business. That's what I see in that chapter. Such that when they are discussing about him, they could say he's a carpenter, not as only as a profession, it also speaks about his excellency in that department. Not that they were running away from the fact that he was the Lord, but what they knew that he could do best and they could not agree with him, it was in carpentry. And when Jesus was doing it, it was not because he was there as a carpenter, but he knew that he was passing by. I'm talking about the way to a very successful life. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking, although you might have some dreams, you might have to pass through some other things, which you might have to excel in. One of the reasons why most of the students, they are here and they don't pass as they are supposed to, they don't really see this as something that they are passing through to their destiny. Because they have dreams. Yes, you might. You might have a dream now. I might teach you today that, okay, because you have a dream, like, do a research on that dream, or whatever it is that is required on that dream. Then you can say to me, man of God, I've done that, but I'm still here. But you are passing by here. Wouldn't you? At some point, let's say you just decide that I walk to my dream, there should be a sense of excellency in you. And if you have not excelled on something, then it means you might not even excel on that dream that you say you are pursuing. Tell your neighbor, as you pass by here, excel. Shake him, don't be scared of your neighbor. They say, excel. Energy that is not focused, it leads to temptation. When you have energy that is not directed to something, you're going to fall into a temptation. Don't you know? The days that you fall the most are the days that you are too relaxed. Which means what is making you to fall is the energy that is not applied to something. If we were to say you are here and you have a lot of energy, let's say to do something, and that energy, you focus it on something that is beneficial, do you think you'll be tempted to do something? You want me to say, we have been reading the Bible long enough. We know that the day David looked at Bathsheba, he didn't go to war. That one we know. And we know that in him there was a lot of energy as a warrior, but that day he was not fighting. But the Bible says, David went to fight. Then he directed his energy to Bathsheba. Then you can tell that really it was an energetic movement because there's pregnancy there. It's in the Bible. Energy not directed will lead you to temptation. I said, don't you think it's important for you to excel? Even if you say to me, man of God, I have a calling, I'm a preacher. But what other than you preaching, what should we know you by as well, at least? To say, is this not the, should we just say, I mean, you will get persecuted. At least excel on something. Have a diploma that has some PDs. I mean, possibilities are that if you escape one dream to another dream, you might as well escape that other dream. It depends. Others, they do that. They are here studying and they're thinking, where is this taking me? What will I achieve? I'm running away. They run. I mean, if you have few witches and also there's a blessing in your family, you might as well arrive to this thing. Understand that there are places that we pass by. Tell your neighbor, places that we pass by.
Places that we pass by.
Check your neighbor and say, places that we pass by.
Places that we pass by.
Check your neighbor, shake them very hard and say, places that we pass by.
Places that we pass by.
Let me show you a verse in the book of Mark. In the book of what? Are you there? Are you there? Chapter 6. Are you there? Read verse 1.
And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue.
Read verse 1.
And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him.
That's the verse I'm looking for. And his disciples, verse 3.
Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James, and Joseph, and of Judah, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?
Okay. You know what? I want to tell you about information, what you're supposed to do, how to get information. But I'm trying to say to you, firstly, let's say on our way to success, we need to excel in the things that we pass through. Sometimes, I keep on saying this, and sometimes it looks funny, it sounds funny to some, but there's a time I enter your room, then I know you are going to be poor. Because your room is like a place you are passing by, and already if you are producing that kind of energy that is making the room to look the way it looks, at least excel, clean that room, shake your neighbor, clean that room, Lord. How? Why should God give you an office when you're failing to clean that room? Why? What is the office for? Who's ready to go to an office where you will catch flu? Because the reason why I'm saying this before I maybe dwell too much on information is the fact that when people begin to gather information without having excelled in the areas that they are in, it now remains theoretical. You can't practice it. Because you have now underestimated what was necessary around you. And then you have dreamed and thought that which is still theoretically, failing to apply that which was necessary during that time. You get my point? So that's why I'm quoting that verse which says, is this not the carpenter? Which means, in as far as carpeting was concerned, he was done with the chapter. Not only was he done, he was the best. I mean, he's the only carpenter in the Bible that you know. Not that he was the only one. I'm thinking that he excelled more than all of them.
Amen.
Excel, tell me about excel. Shake your neighbor and say, amen. Attend classes, man. Excel in attending classes. Excel in attending classes. I mean, there are people who we know that we don't even have to ask if they are going to pass or what. Check your neighbor, especially the brothers, at least the sisters, you can see them around. There are brothers who are registered here, that you will never see in the campus, but they are registered. Have you seen people like that? Have you seen them? And you know what is the idea? The idea is, I want to start a business. But think of someone that is starting a business who can attend classes. Just think about that. Once you start a business, people they start businesses, which is good, by the way. Now read that verse for me. I said read what? Mark chapter, read that verse 1 for me. Read that verse 1 for me again.
And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him.
Okay, read it again.
And he went out from thence.
Which means he left the place that he was in, right? You know what is to leave a place that you are in? Which means Jesus was there with them, then he left. Which means this to me looks like he didn't do goodbyes, he spoke to them. Then because he had something on his mind, then he left. Right? And what happened to his disciples? What happened to his disciples? God have a tendency of leaving you behind. I'm telling you, he does it most of the time. Now, there are things that God might want to do, but he might be behind, because unless if you have information about God wants to do presently, then he can't, because your mind has not yet registered it. And although they were disciples, although they were called, what he wanted from them was a willing spirit, if you check throughout the scriptures. That's why in chapter 6 of the book of John, he said to them, when people are leaving, he said to them, so do you want to leave as well? Because he didn't want to somehow get comfort from people who are leaving if they don't want to stay. So he said to them, so go. If you want to follow, then follow the ones leaving. Then Peter says, no. In you, there are ways of life. Tell the neighbor, in him, there are ways of life. What am I talking about? If Peter says, where shall we go, Lord? Because in you, there are ways of life. In other words, he's saying, in you, there is information that if we listen to, we'll have life. So in other words, what are we saying about information? You must be willing to gather information. Let me tell you a story, and I believe it will sound right. Do you remember that? BM car? When I was with one of my sons, we took it to this guy because they said there's a Veltronic what. Took it to that guy, he opens it. He says to me, what is this car doing? I tell you. He says to me, I'm gonna fix it. He brings a big toolbox and he was pushing it. Well, I could see, man, something is not right. So he opens it, he looks at it, then he says to me, this is how he calls me. He says to me, Prophet, where is the battery of this car? Right there, I thought, so you want to fix this car, but you don't know where the battery is. And you have people running businesses, people like that, and I have to pay this guy. Imagine, I mean, if I have to tell you where the battery is and I have to pay you, I said to you, look, give me the keys he gave me. I said to you, I don't trust you. So let me drive away. He's a mechanic, right? Maybe he's used to fixing, which when he opens, there's a battery there, but times are advancing, which means he cannot excel in that business until he equips himself with information. Maybe he has the skill, but what he needs is what? Information. Even some of you, I can even ask you a question, which course are you doing? You will answer me. So, I can say to you, so which company employs people that have studied your course? 2. And And that is why you have so many people with many diplomas sitting down, simply because although you have the diploma, you don't have the information of the diploma. Information is important. And here I'm showing you that the disciples were following information willingly. They were not forced. Jesus is not that kind of man that forces you. He says, we go to Jerusalem. He walks you, because he told you in the beginning, he says, follow me. Not that I'm going to be asking you, follow me. You get my point? So I told one of my friends who's running a church, I met with him in his house. He has a big list. Later on, he says to me, hey, my friend, I'm going to be calling all these people to come to church. I said, what? I need to stop doing that. And I've been wondering why you're not calling me, because you're busy calling the whole congregation. Listen, following is not when one is forced. Information, willingly. Willingly. Tell your neighbor, you must be willing to gather information. Check your neighbor and say, you must be willing to gather information.
You must be willing to gather information.
Sometimes you think that something is very difficult. Not because it's too difficult, because you don't know information about it. You get my point? Listen to me. Humility is better. Humility is what? When you don't know, ask. When you don't know, you have big dudes that are not even achieving anything. Their life is just stagnant, and they simply have to open up to information from those ones that are making it. Try to gather information. Tell them about gather information. Check your neighbor and say gather information. Okay, get another neighbor and say gather information. There is no department that we will excel in when we don't have information about that department. Whether it's relationships, marriages, businesses, academics, anything that we want to do. Never engaged in doing anything without information. Because then what you will be receiving in that engagement of yours, it's going to be information for what will be coming on the later stage after you land. Even in ministry, you've got to. You know, I'm amazed at how sometimes we are in a hurry to start something. We just want to start. Information. Usually, I've made it I would say that is how I do things most of the time. Let's say when we go to the malls, to the shops, I don't do those things of being lost anymore. Because I know there's what is called information desk. You go, say, I'm here. This is not my mother's house, it's the mall. So, I don't know how it is, right? Can you please direct me? Right? I was with one of my sons today, we met a man of God. He was sweating. I said to him, so you're sweating inside the mall. Like, I said to him, oh, man of God, so I wonder what will happen when you're preaching. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if maybe he was lost like I used to get lost back in the days, but maybe you can just get someone in a hurry. You get my point? What are we talking about? Information. Check it by information. Check it by information. We will never excel in anything that we don't have information about. When you don't know, ask. When you don't know, do what? Ask. When you don't know, do what? Ask. When you don't know, do what? Ask. I'm amazed at how the disciples would always gather in the night to ask the Lord what he was preaching about, and how we wouldn't even bother to do that. Do you know nowadays we don't have people bothering to do that, right? The disciples, when Jesus was preaching, they were listening. They said, what is this? We must ask him. What were you saying, sir? In case we think we have understood when we didn't hear you, what were you saying, sir? Then Mr. Jesus will answer. He will give them a clear description of what he was talking about. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? Now, I didn't say that story of the car, maybe because I want to sound somehow. But when I was in Venda again, one of my brothers, when he was talking to me, he said to me, tell me, because he had a BM car as well. He said to me, so tell me, this is happening to my car, where should I take it? And the first person that came to my mind is that guy. But then I was thinking, hey. Which means how informed you are determines how excellent you will be in your area of functioning. If that guy had, I mean, when I took that, we took it to one, we took it to this other old father. When I arrived there, he said, because the problem as well is I didn't even know where the bedroom was as well. That's why, I mean, and I didn't blame myself because, I mean, I was driving the car, not fixing the car, right? And many times I was telling Tulani, where's the bedroom of this guy? So we took it to the old father. The old father said to me, open that door for me. I opened it. He said, do this to this. He does it. He said, this is the bedroom. He unplugged it. You know, my heart was at peace. I went, sat down, I was on WhatsApp. I knew now it's sorted. So, although I thought about the first guy, but I couldn't refer anyone to him because he's not skilled. Because information gives you skill. Tell your neighbor, information gives you skill. Tell your other neighbor, information gives you skill.
Information gives you skill.
You know when someone tells you something and you're really thinking, does he know what he's talking about? And when someone tells you something and is very sure he gives you information, which one will you believe them more? I'm aware, you know what, the reason I'm preaching like this, I'm thinking, look at our country and look at how rich it is. I mean, in this country, you have like mines, all these different mines. Let's say you, as a young person, you say, yeah, I'm the son of the soil, so I want to start a business. Now you have a mining business, you have registered it. Because this is what is happening during nowadays. You have some brothers that their business is to register your business. Then you go to register to them. Now you register a business which you don't even know where mines are situated. Even now if I say, okay, maybe those from Northwest, you can know, there's a mine there, there's a mine there. But imagine running a mining business when you don't even know where the mines are in SA. You want to tell me that if you take your phone and you Google the locations of the mines in SA, will Google not answer you? And when you are planning your business, then at least you are informed. At least you are what? At least you are what? At least you are what? Understand that after God made everything in the garden, He said it's what? It's beautiful. And now, the garden didn't have aeroplane, not because God didn't make aeroplanes, because He wanted people that can get information about it. Because if the wise man comes and says there's nothing new, he's only saying that God has made everything, but only the thinking can achieve those things. Even this mic was there in the garden. But there was a need of a man that can come to the garden and look at the tree and think, we can make this. He was not supposed to pray, Father, give me a chair. No. Because the things that you think maybe you don't need and God thinks you need, He will give you them. Hence He said, it is not good for a man to be alone. That's what God thought. So if we resurrect Adam now and we say to him, hey, or not to resurrect him, but if we bring back Adam, I just don't know what to add. Amen. But I mean, resurrection is our way. Let's use it. So we bring back Adam here. And Adam is like, hey, you guys are favored, eh? During our days, there was not even a phone. It is not our problem, it is his. He could have made a phone during his days. If he had gathered information. Information is power. Not information is power. Even a prayer of an empty mind is ineffective. When you are empty, you don't know how to pray, you are making noise. That's why the people that knows more, they don't talk a lot, like those that, they are empty people that talks. Yo, may God give us cars. You can't imagine an experience of being in the taxi with an empty guy talking from here to Venda. And all the things he's saying. Do you know that the Bible says, even a fool, when he's quiet, he looks wise? Listen, when you don't have information, keep quiet. Yo, information. Let me show you something here in the book of Luke chapter 4, verse 16. Luke chapter 4, verse 16. Information. Tell your neighbor, information. Look at your neighbor right there and say, information. Don't you think the systems of the world are designed to check how much information do you have? I mean, that's what you go for to the exams. That's what they test you for. How much information? And you shouldn't think that gathering information is too simple. That's why they take you for about 5 months and they're giving you information and they will test you in one day to see if what they were telling you got into you. Then they give you marks. So you're actually here for information. Don't you think? Then you have a guy not going to the class, but he's here for the information. Tell your neighbor, what is in your pocket is a reflection of what is in your mind. Tell that to your neighbor. Empty mind, empty pockets. My daughter, listen to me. Before you could check, I was talking to my son. My son said to me, he took a photo of his room, he sent it to me. I see his bed. So, I see he's even ashamed. Tell him, my father, I don't even have what. I said to him, at least you have a bed. Some of you sitting here, you don't even have a bed. I mean, you are sleeping in your mother's bed. That one sheep body full. And when you move out, you're not going to move with your mother's bed. She have other children. You need to leave people's stuff behind. Right? And I thought, at least he was informed enough that as a man, get a place, get a what? At least I know that although now the place he has is not his destination, soon he will have a house. At least. And we're not saying he's 43 or he's what. It bothers me when you have very old people not informed. Very old. Look here. Jesus left them, and the Bible says the disciples followed. What did they do? Follow. It was out of a decision, I will follow. Have you also noticed that there's a verse in the Bible that says, it is the glory of God to hide information, and it is your glory to set it out. Do you know that there's no such a thing as deliverance without revelation? And revelation is not. What's up? There is a price for revelation. And revelation is not you. True. There is a price for revelation. Tell your neighbor, information. When I go to Pick and Pay, and then I found grapes. Do you know grapes? And then I look at the price. The only thing that comes to my mind is my grandmother's farm. And I'm even thinking, well, so Pick and Pay takes my grandmother's grapes and put prices on them. So might as well take grapes to Pick and Pay. I'm just trying to show you that we are where we are simply because we are not thinking. What are we waiting for? For God. You know, I thank God that He gave